What's up, everybody? Welcome to a early edition of Class Action. It almost looks like Holy Snokes because we are Jarvyless because he's too busy cavorting, gallivanting.
Jarvy's running up the mountains. He's running up the snowy mountains of the Alps right now. I wouldn't be surprised if somewhere up in the Rocky Mountains, Jarvy's on top of a mountain screaming, PLD!
Gunner!
That's probably what Jarvy's doing right now.
It might be. But I am here with the Gunner. The Gunner, the champ is here indeed, my friend. How are you?
I'm doing good, man. How are you?
I'm doing good. It's very interesting. A little lighter, a little earlier than we usually do, but it's a nice feeling, I guess. I get this underway. I can't wait. I'm excited to talk about two really fun, adventuresome movies, and one of which just came out, of course, with Creed 3. Let's start here. Creed 3. What was your thoughts, Matty?
I fucking loved it. Absolutely loved it. Obviously, and we'll get into it, there was a bit of a giant hole that was missing, but overall as a movie, it was like not only the swings that Michael B. Jordan took as a director, which, by the way, that man needs to direct more, because if this was his directorial debut, well done, my man. That was absolutely chef's kiss. But it encapsulated a fighter who is at the end of the road and is battling between the two of, I want to keep going, but I can't anymore. And weighing up those options of at what cost is it going to take for me to get back in the ring? Like, hello, this is my life right now.
Yeah, you're not wrong. Here you go. PJ Campbell, of course, in the chat. One of these is good. The other is Rocky 3. Wow, PJ, it's a little strong, but, I think Rocky 3 is still good. But best show because Jarvy isn't here. Wow. It's not a whole Rocky's life move on. Did you guys not watch Creed 2? Yes, I did. I did watch Creed 2. I still think it's a Rocky size hole because, God damn it, PJ, when Creed's mom dies, Rocky doesn't come to the funeral. That's not moving on. That's being a dick, unless it's a behind the scenes story. And I gotta say also that Rocky would have been there in the final fight as well. I feel like watching Duke give the pep talk
it didn't hit the same coming from Duke.
Did not hit the same. Matty Kearns, I'd have to be honest, I didn't enjoy Creed 3. Oh, interesting. Wow. Interesting, Matty. That's a very interesting talk. I definitely interested in hearing your opinions on why you didn't enjoy it. And then, of course, we got Kelly W. It's too early to have these two on my screen. It's too early to have anybody on your screen, to be honest with you. And it's always a bad time to have us on your screen. But, hey, you're here, so I appreciate you. And finally, Matt Munoz, good to see you in the chat, my friend. Good to see you. He loves Rocky 3. All right, there we go. A little diversity in the chat here between.
I like this. This would be a good one. Some people are going to get hurt with this one.
I will say my opinions on Creed 3. I actually absolutely loved Creed 3. I did agree that there was that Rocky size hole in it that kind of threw me off. It doesn't change the fact that it was a beautiful movie because it wasn't really, fault of Michael B. Jordan.
No,
it was that slide and the producers fell out and everything else. Michael B. Jordan's a hell of a director. I agree with you on that point. That this is his debut. I can't wait to see what he does next. He's got a great eye for things. He's got a great instinct for things. Mostly though, I thought the story felt real to me. It felt like a real stepping forward. Like, it didn't feel cartoonish at all. Like, this is the real places to be. And it's funny to think about it. Here's Creed 3. He's like already retired, and it's like, wow, that's so quick. But that's the life of a fighter too. It is kind of a quick shelf life.
Boy, you're telling me. You're telling me. Exhibit A.
There you go. Let's see what we got. Of course, PJ saying both have your feelings. It's wrong, but that's fine. Yeah, Matty Kearns, a lack of Rocky, as you mentioned, where he was at the funeral, and I didn't enjoy Damien as a twisted villain. Interesting. Wow, you might be the only person I know, man. I didn't like Damien as a antagonist, because Jonathan Majors, I thought, almost stole show for me. There you go. Let's see. Creed 3 Supremacy. Kelly W. I felt the Rocky size hole. See, I get it. My husband disagrees that the movie didn't need him.
I don't know if it needed him, but it could have done with him.
Yeah, and that's what I said too. Like I said, again, at the end of the day, I gave this 4.5 stars. I loved it. I really did. I just really felt like it was missing it. So, oh well. Look at the house in the chat. From these, I'm going to top of the snow,
He's at
yelling
the top
out
of the
"Gunner,"
mountain.
top of his lungs.
Mm.
Love from the Alps. Good to see you. And let's see. Franchise has been able to move beyond rock. Has to be able to move beyond rock, and we proved it could do just that. We don't need the character. Says, and you can sit there in your wrongness, and it's okay. And Jarvis, we're live this time because you're not here holding us back. That's why. You know what I mean? We want to go earlier. We couldn't. We're just waiting to get going. You know, all right, let's go on before we start talking to everybody in the chat. That's just what we're doing.
Yeah.
We have a couple of things we do here at Class Action. Obviously, we have 5 battles. We're going to 5 categories. We put them up against each other to see which one's going to be victorious. I guess
6 if it's one of your favorites that we're putting it up against.
True. That's very true. I won't deny it. I guess I should say it's actually a 5-round fight instead of a 12-round fight in this case.
In MMA, this would be a championship fight.
That's true. A championship fight between Rocky 3 and Creed 3. The third films in your respective trilogies, although, of course, Creed and Rocky are the same franchise, but it still made sense to see where we are at the time, given the...
It wouldn't even be an exhibition if it was boxing. Exhibitions are usually 6.
Well, we're special here. So,
it was supposed to be an exhibition.
Wrong movie. Keep talking Rocky 4. not what we're up against here at this point. Although, interesting enough, a Rocky 4 versus Rocky 4, like the director's cut, would be an interesting conversation.
Oh, God. We'd have to have PJ on for that one.
PJ might have an aneurysm. But that's actually true. I might too. Actually, I'm not a big fan of the Drago, the director's cut version. But we came up with 5 rounds, 5 categories. You got better protagonist, obviously Rocky versus Creed, literally. Better antagonist. Obviously, you got Mr. T as Clubber Lang, Jonathan Majors as Damien. Better fights, which is something I'm going to lean heavily on you because you know this better than anybody. And hopefully, if your first time here, Matty did a good breakdown of the Creed versus Conlon fight from the original Creed, and it's on this channel in this playlist. He's going to do another one, I believe, for Creed 2. I believe
yes, the one between Creed and Drago is currently in the editing phase.
Cool.
There was a couple of times where I said something and I was like, "Wait, no, I was wrong at that. Let me take that out." But
well, I'm glad
I get punched in the head a few times. It's fine.
It happens. It happened. We've watched Rocky and Creed. We've seen it happen, obviously.
Yeah.
Finally, got better score, and finally, better story, better overall story. With that in mind, the first thing we do, we once upon a time, we used to play the Ed Harris game, and now we have kind of graduated to expand beyond that. He's still involved, but we play instead. What would the wheel decide? The actor we're going to talk about. We're going to spin a wheel, 8 actors on the wheel, and we're going to put an actor in each movie. So we're going to spin first for Rocky 3, put that actor in Rocky 3, either is a recast or is a new role we're going to write in, and then we're going to do it again for Creed 3. So there is our wheel. We should get going right away. I want to just click and go.
Scott.
For Rocky 3, I didn't do that. I did not do this, folks. I did not bring the wheel.
Go ahead, just do it. Just say it. We all know what you're thinking.
You do, huh?
Just do it. Just do it.
You know what? No, you don't know what I'm going to do because I'm not going to do what you think I'm going to do. I don't want to replace Mickey with Ed Harris. Come on.
Okay.
Come on, Ed Harris. I like Mickey as Mickey. Ed Harris is actually younger at this point too. I'm going to go back to old, younger Rocky. So what I do there, Ed Harris is going to be a younger Irish boxer. We have the young Italian stallion. We're going to have the Irish boxer that has to fight in round 1. We're going to replace the spider of Rocky 1. He's going to come back.
He's going to be the Irish Spider Rico.
The Irish Spider Rico. Exactly. Going to come back and try to win his due. Maybe he's one of the people that
Spider Ricky.
He's one of the people that Mickey puts up against Rocky as a paper champion kind of thing.
Yeah.
Until while he's avoiding Clubber Lang. Hey, you know what? I'm giving it Harris like a shot. I'm saying that he's not going to look intimidating in this role. That's tough for me to do. So go with me on that.
Yeah.
No, not replacing Spider Rico in Rocky 3. I'm saying he's like a Spider Rico. God damn it, PJ. Such a pain in my ass. All right, go, Matty. What are you gonna do? What are you gonna do?
I'm gonna put Ed Harris because I immediately defaulted to Mickey. Then you said you can't replace Mickey. I was like, yeah, actually, you're kind of right. I would have him as like a Skip Bayless kind of like talking head pundit, and he's just there on like a talk show that is like, as soon as Clubber beats him for the first time, he's like, I told you he was washed up. I told you he was a bum. Like he's because let's face it, Skip Bayless doesn't know a thing he's talking about when it comes to talking fighting. So Ed Harris, I think, could have been like the one who's like yelling at the camera and like super intense with his opinion, even though it's completely wrong. I think Ed Harris could fit that role, that kind of shit weasel, intense yelling shit weasel that Skip Bayless has become.
You know, Ed Harris could definitely talk loud and be absolutely wrong and do it better than anybody else could. So I'm with you on that. So there we go. I model myself after Ed Harris because I speak very loud and often very wrong. As long as that's what PJ says anyway. Let's move on then to Creed 3. Let's spin the wheel again. And I promise I can't be Ed Harris. We can't do Ed Harris twice now. Ooh, we're going to put Michelle Yeoh in Creed 3. Ooh. I'll let you go first this time because I went first last time.
Michelle Yeoh in Creed 3. I think it would be kind of cool if she was like Adonis's mom's best friend. That like he could go, that like knew everything that him and Damien were up to. The cool neighbor that like knew that he was getting into some shit, but like he could go to, just so he would have like someone there at the funeral and at her deathbed. And I feel like Michelle Yeoh, she can feel that like compassionate, caring, like motherly role. So I think that'd be like a great thing for her.
I got it. I'm sorry not to jump. I just came to me, and I think you're gonna like this.
Go.
I'm replacing the character of Duke. Michelle Yeoh
is going to train Adonis?
Is going to train Adonis.
Holy shit.
Because Adonis versus Damien, it takes a new type of fighter, something that Adonis hasn't been before. He's got to learn new kind of things. And Michelle Yeoh is going to teach him like martial arts kind of thing that he can bring to the ring to be a different kind of fighter, throw Damien off. Like kind of like how Rocky became a right-hander instead of southpaw.
Southpaw, yeah.
He switches up his entire style. It's a Michelle Yeoh Eastern philosophy kind of thing. And Michelle Yeoh kicks all sorts of ass and trains Adonis Creed.
And that martial arts style could go with like the anime way that Michael B. Jordan was shooting the fight. Yeah, I like that. And instead of Canelo's fucking no charisma having ass in the movie, we could have had someone like Katie Taylor make an appearance. Who's very, very outspoken young lady. But
I do like that.
I did think that was a cool little cameo they had in there. But beside the point, that is a great role. I didn't even think about her as a trainer.
Yeah, that'd be kind of cool.
Yeah,
kind of fun. Kelly, thank you. Yeah, this is the highest praise Kelly's ever given to me. I begrudgingly respect PLD. Yelling Rops as a trainer. Absolutely. And good to see, of course, Alan Smithy in the chat. Early show today. Rocky 5000 is my favorite in the franchise. Touted that on Twitter, and I did hear Pizza the Hut talk about it briefly in Spaceballs, but I have not got a chance to see that the Rocky 5000. I can't wait. If you're liking it the best, then it's got to be good. So.
I like it almost as much as I like Expendables 27.
That good, huh? That good. That's amazing. All right. All righty. Let's move on then. Let's get into the trial here. The trial we should have 5 different rounds here. Again, we're going to start off with the better protagonist. Now, before I go any further, before we say anything, I want to clarify. Better protagonist does not mean just Rocky versus Creed overall. It's in these specific movies. Rocky in Rocky 3 and Adonis Creed in Creed 3. Because I think my answers might be different if we're talking franchise. If we're talking franchise, it might be different. I'm going to start off, if you don't mind, though, with this one.
Go for it.
In this particular category, I'm going to give it to Creed. Because to me, they both are in similar spots to a degree. They're both Creed retired. Rocky hasn't retired yet, but they're both definitively different from the underdogs that they started as. Mm-hmm. However, one of my main, let's say, negative points about Rocky 3, and I'm one who I'll say it quite frankly, Rocky 3 is my least favorite of the franchise. and one of the main reasons he doesn't know. We don't know what Rocky. It doesn't know what Rocky really is. I feel like the first film established him one way. He couldn't even do like acting. He couldn't do any what is it, advertising or anything like, because he couldn't do it. He couldn't read the cards. Couldn't do anything. He was this really street smart but lower intelligent kind of guy, and that was okay. That's actually what made him kind of charismatic to a degree. The beginning of the film, now that he's been champion for a bit, he feels like he's smarter, he's more interesting, and it's like he got an IQ raise in a way because Sylvester Stallone didn't want to play him the same way anymore. I don't know what it was. It just didn't feel like he knew what he wanted to do with the character. He was already smart, and it's a story about an underdog, and you have to beat down the guy back to square one. Creed does that much better because Creed never gets beat down. Creed seems like a logical place where he is, and when Damien comes out of the woodworks to bring him back, to kind of suck him back in, he sucks him back in with a personal twist. Whereas Clubber Lang is just this kind of like badass guy. I mean, he does. I understand the idea that he gets Mickey, but he doesn't. The whole Mickey angle in the middle, where the passing of Mickey because of the instigations of Clubber, shall we say, he's already in the fight. Rocky's already fighting him, so it's like it goes to kind of like this weird angle. Creed seemed much more natural in his third film for me, so that's what I'm going to go with.
Yeah, this is tough because they are in the same position of like they're on top of the world, but also Adonis is he's at the twilight of his career. He knows that his time is coming. Rocky's kind of still completely woefully oblivious to it. He doesn't know that he's having handpicked opponents. He doesn't know that Mickey's setting him up to make him look good.
Right.
And there's the whole thing of you see so many fighters become champion and start buying all the cars and the houses and everything, and they do lose that hunger. They do lose the eye of the tiger. He's essentially latter era Mike Tyson in this movie. In Rocky 3. But I think you're right. It's something about Adonis knowing that he's at the end of his career and he's like he knows at the point where he's like, okay, I've got to walk away now. Like, I've got a family. That adds so much more to it, that he's doing this for his wife. He's doing this for his daughter, which, by the way, them doing the sign language throughout the movie when he's speaking to his daughter, I thought that was incredible. I thought that was really well done. It's hard to go against Rocky being Rocky and coming back and beating someone that literally everyone is saying you can't beat him. Your coach is saying you can't beat him. Your wife is saying you can't beat him. But I feel like there's more nuances and different things at stake for the character of Adonis in this movie than there is for Rocky. Rocky is just like, I got beat, I lost my belts, I gotta go get him back. Adonis is like, this is his entire life.
Yeah. It's the personal stakes to it.
Yeah, the personal stakes, that's exactly it. Like his childhood coming back. Like Damien, one thing I would have loved for them to have done is if Damien had come in one scene and just said, if you don't get me this title fight, I'm gonna tell them what happened on that night. I'm gonna go on whatever show and I'm going to tell them what happened that night that you ran away.
Right. Yeah, that's a good point, man. Like I say, we agree. It looks like the buck stops here. Saw a comment about Damon being a villain as a twist. It never was a twist. He was never a villain. It was very obvious he was an antagonist, but not actually villainous. Okay. Creed 3 rules. Jeff Altman, Creed 3 rules. Damon is arguably the best antagonist in the series, both in major performance and his character's writing.
Fact.
Possibly, quite possibly. And also he also goes on to one of the best things about Damien is how his arc in the film is completely organic. No twists, no villainous intentions, just misguided anger that builds until it breaks. It's so good. Yeah, it is definitely misguided anger, and definitely has a moment where it is very organic. Obviously, Creed's mom tries to inform him that because she sees what he's doing, and he's obviously planned it from the get go. It's not like he goes to Creed with a good heart in his hand. He goes to Creed knowing he's going to kind of screw him over a little bit. Obviously, that's the kind of way it is. I think that might be what the twist that Matty's trying to talk about is, that he comes so good, and then all of a sudden the twist being all of a sudden you see the picture, and his friend or whatever, his former cellmate or whatever, knocked Drago out in order to get him the real. I just don't think it's a twist per se. It's just more of like he was always that way. And it was just confirmation to a degree more than anything else. Because we knew it was coming. We could see from the trailer alone, this is what's going to happen. Yeah. But yeah, absolutely. All right, well, let's move on then to the next category here. That's actually a nice segue because we're going to get into better antagonists. We got Jonathan Majors as Damien. We got Mr. T as Clubber Lang. Now, here's the interesting part for me. I mean, it seems like this is an easy one because of everything Jeff is saying, we're saying. I do want to shout out Mr. T as Clubber Lang because he actually lays the groundwork for Damien.
Yeah, thank you. I was literally going to say that.
It really does. I mean, it's kind of funny how the production of Creed 3 happened. At one point, Jonathan Majors was going to be Clubber Lang's son. That's what they were going to go with because we had Drago's son, we had Clubber Lang's son. That's almost too cartoonish. I'm glad they didn't go that way. But in reality, he kind of is Clubber Lang's son. It's a person from who's had a troubled upbringing. He hasn't had the same opportunities as like some people have, and yet he's mean. He's a bastard. He's a machine. He's terrifying. He's terrifying in the ring, and that's what he does to his opponents. He terrifies them and beats them senseless. The only difference is Clubber didn't exactly do anything illegal to get the fight. He didn't have to beat up Drago. He just kept calling out Rocky until Rocky couldn't do anything else except the fight. But they're very similar characters. I do have to give it to Jonathan Majors' character though, because overall, if we're looking at better villain in a franchise, Rocky 3 is a cartoonish 80s movie. And that's not a slight to it. It's still fun. It's still a fun thing. But when it comes from, you put that up against what Creed 3 is doing, it's just impossible to say that Jonathan Majors isn't a better version of Clubber Lang. You're adding the personal stakes to it. You're adding the deep storyline. You're adding the end sequence where we have the two of them. One of my favorite moments in the whole film was after Adonis beats John. Spoiler. If you think it's a spoiler, beats Damien at the end. They share that moment in the locker room where even after everything's all said and done, Adonis Gums sits down. They have a moment. They kind of have like a forgiveness moment, and they kind of move on. And there's something touching about adding that to the character, which is why he's not a villain. That's why when we wrote these categories out, I started off, usually we got better hero, better villain. It's not a villain in this case. It's a better protagonist, better antagonist. So I gotta give this to Creed, but I do gotta shout out Clubber Lang because he does. I feel like people look at that and go, "Oh, it's very easily Damien," but Clubber Lang was great for what he was supposed to do. He played the role he was supposed to play in the movie he was in. You can't ask for more sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, Clubber Lang was essentially Rocky in Rocky 1 and 2. He was the hungry. I want the title at any means necessary. Like, I will go to whatever lengths to get what I want. And I feel like there was one scene in particular in Creed 3 that made me compare the two, that I was like, oh, this is not a continuation, but a further development on Rocky 3. Was the scene where Damien's sitting in his apartment area or in the motel or wherever he was staying. And he was sitting on the bed, and then he holds the sink and he looks in the mirror. Right. That's the exact same thing that Clubber did in Rocky 3.
Yeah.
He looks himself in the mirror, then he punches the mirror. Mm-hmm. But in this one, you have Damien, he's shadowboxing in the mirror.
Right.
And I was just like, oh, okay. This is the road we're going down.
Yeah.
Okay. I like it. Damien for me is the obvious. I say obvious choice again, like you said, and I fully agree. Clubber Lang is a great villain. He's a great villain, but I don't think Damien's a villain. I think Damien is more of an antagonist. Clubber Lang was just an evil prick, justified in both of their intentions. But like we said, it's that misguided anger, and
Yeah.
you can relate. I know I definitely can. I can relate to Damien of like, you see there is that jealousy thing. You see your friends with, and it's a natural thing. You see your friends doing better in life at something that you set out to do, that you want for yourself, dreams that you one day want to achieve, and you see your friends start to achieve them, not necessarily off your own back, but there is definitely a motherfucker, that should be me. I'm happy for you, but that should be me.
Right.
And there was the moment where they sit down in the diner just as they met each other. I don't think Damien was expecting Adonis to be like, let me help you.
Right.
I think he was at first, I think he was like, damn, like he does remember me. Like, oh, this is not how I expected. I think when it got to like him deciding he wanted the title fight, then he was like, all right, if you're not going to do it, I'm just going to take it. I don't care. Right. But I do think at the start there was that hesitation of him being like, oh, I wasn't expecting you to be, because if you know, it's like he paused for a moment and he was just like, oh, thanks.
Right.
But I don't want a handout.
Right. In a way, yeah, it's an interesting angle at it. I think. I mean, it definitely coincides with what we see at the end afterwards. Obviously, he at some point makes that decision. I want the title fight. I've lived 18 years behind bars, or whatever it is. I can't. I don't have time to wait. I got to take what's mine, and so he does. He does take it in any way that he can. But at the same time, I agree. I don't think he quite. He probably had his whole thing in the prison where he was his character like hated Adonis because Adonis did run away. He's living his life. He watches Adonis grow up. He watches Adonis do everything he was supposed to do. So he's got that jealousy angle. So he's coming up with a chip on his shoulder. So he's expecting to see, he's created this whole like super villain of Adonis in his mind. That's the super villain of his life at this point. He comes and sits down with them, and he's not. He's a nice guy. So it's hard to really reconcile that to a degree. I get that. It makes him a much more interesting antagonist, to be honest with you, again. And that's what makes him not a villain. It makes him kind of a fun, not fun, but like a intriguing and engaging villain, or antagonist rather. So.
And there was a moment, and I guess it will bleed over into the story category, but there was a moment that I thought Adonis isn't going to get up. He's gonna let his friend have this. He's gonna take the high ground. He's gonna take the high road. He's not gonna get up. He's gonna let Damien have this.
Right. Absolutely.
And I thought that would what have like played into Damien, and I was just like, man. But Jonathan Majors acted the hell out of this. Not only that, he looked fucking insanely good.
Yes,
like
did.
that moment of the like the face off, the press conference they had where he's pointing to the sign and you see like all the definition in his arms and his shoulders. I was like, jeez.
Insane. He is insane indeed.
He's a good boy.
All right, let's move on then to your favorite category, better fights. Which these film had better fights? Let me do mine quickly, and I'll let you then pontificate from there. Honestly speaking, this is a hard category, harder category than it looks like. It's much like to be Clubber Lang versus Damien, because the fights are what they're supposed to be for the movie they are in, if that makes sense. Creed 3, honestly, the fights are probably the best out boxing matches we've seen in these movies. They seem to be really, as far as I'm concerned, as far as I've seen, looks like they're pretty close to being like genuine, minus the interesting twist we had in the subconscious there in the final fight, which we'll get to in a minute. But they seem to be very technically oriented. It seems like they've tried to be technically oriented a little bit ever since Rocky Balboa. It seems like they've tried to go more serious, more realistic than the, let's say, the gunslinger cartoonish Rocky battles where it's just about swinging as hard as you can and not exactly the sweet science, so to speak. But again, it's hard to vilify Rocky 3 for doing what it was doing at the time. It was fit into that package it was trying to sell. It was trying to sell more of a dramatic. It wasn't trying to sell anything more than that. That being said, Creed 3 is the better fight sequences. Is it dramatically a better fight sequence? That's a good question, because that's where actually I almost just declared Creed 3 the victory, but then I go back a little bit. Let's talk about the subconscious angle for a second. The subconscious angle was a big swing by Michael B. Jordan. It was an attempt to try to get out of the the box that Rocky has. We have the final fight in every Rocky movie, generally speaking, where it's the two competitors going at it. They usually have the first round they show, and then they kind of skip a little bit. There's a big moment somewhere in the middle rounds, then a big moment somewhere like a little bit later on, and then we get to the final sequences where they're both, the two warriors are all tired and bloody, and they have one more round to go. Somebody gives them a pep talk, and eventually we find out what happens, whether it's win or lose.
Yeah.
This was an attempt to try to do something different for the first time since Rocky V, really. Rocky V had the angle, we're not going to have a fight in the ring at the end. We're just going to have a street fight. But quite frankly, it was still a similar layout, just not in the ring. In Creed, we had this attempt to put get into Michael B. Jordan's subconscious. And this whole, like, the steel cage is going up and the crowd is gone. And it was nice. It was kind of cool. I did like that. But I gotta say, there's something about the tried and true Rocky III formula with the crowd there. Rocky versus Clubber, that final fight. I remember I actually got a little more into the Rocky III fight than I did the Creed III fight. Because Creed III fight kind of the angle took me out of it a little bit. And I still like the angle. I still like the ambition. But part of me is like, I want to watch Rocky and Drago or Clubber going at it, having the crowd actually getting all psyched up, and having Rocky start going like, "I mean, kids, is that all you got? You ain't so bad. You ain't so bad." And like Paulie and the going, "What's he doing? He's getting his accent. He's getting mad.
He's getting mad." Yeah.
And I love that kind of cartoon thing. So like, better clinical fight, Creed 3. Better story fight, I gotta give it to Rocky 3, I think. Wow, I'm surprising myself. I had this before. This is gonna be Creed 3. I'm switching gears. I'm giving this one to Rocky 3.
Okay. Well, here's a shocker. I'm gonna agree with you.
Look at that. Wow. All right.
Okay. Let me explain. Here, I love the anime influence. The anime influences were there, and for anyone who's watched Dragon Ball Z, there's the shot where they punch each other and they like go away. That's Vegeta punching Goku, and the two of them punching each other and then going like that. When he punches Adonis through the chest, that's Frieza punching Goku through the chest. Like, I remember those scenes vividly in my head from growing up and watching Dragon Ball Z. So shout out Michael B. Jordan for that. That was great. I love that the fights in the Creed movies are a lot more technical. They will bring in boxers like a Tony Bellew, a Canelo Alvarez to like not only like be part of the movie, but to oversee the choreography and be like, no, that probably wouldn't go like that. Try to do it like this. I appreciate the taking it into the spirituality and the mental side of boxing that Creed did, because ultimately, once you were in there, and I can tell you this from experience, once you were in there, crowd goes away. Like, you're focused on the person in front of you, and that is it. But goddamn, I can appreciate the technicalities of watching someone like a Roy Jones Jr. or Vasily Lomachenko, the technical, all of that. But the average viewer, we want to see someone get knocked the fuck out. And that is exactly what Creed 3 did. This was Mike Tyson. Creed 3 was a Mike Tyson fight.
Mm-hmm.
And who are people more likely to pay to see? Mike Tyson. Like, it was just that two guys leathering the absolute shit out of each other. Rocky being like, "Oh, you ain't so bad. You ain't so bad. Come on, knock me out. Knock me out." Like, he's talking like he would have got, if that was a real live boxing match, he would have gotten knocked out. Probably even have died from taking that much brain damage.
Oh, absolutely. Taking
those many shots to the head from a guy like Clubber Lang, yeah, he probably would have at the very least gotten knocked out. But my God, it's so much fun to watch guys like that. And it's just, that is I like, when I talk about it in fight sports, I like to call them the football fans. I don't like using the word casual fan.
Okay.
The football fan, like the fan who watches a football that's just like, "Oh, Anthony Joshua's fighting. Oh, Tyson Fury's fighting. I'm like, yeah, I'll tune in and watch that." The fight in Rocky 3 between Clubber and Rocky is the fight that people want to pay money to see.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's why I'm picking. Is it better technically? Absolutely not. Nowhere near. But my God, it is so much more fun.
Absolutely. Oh, I'm glad you see the same side there. You know what? I'm going to toss it in there too. Fuck it. Rocky 3 also has Thunder Lips. The Thunder Lips Rocky
Oh
battle.
my god.
Come on. Nothing wrong there. I love that. I love little Hulk Hogan there as well. So, all right. Then let's move on into category number 4, better score. Better score. This is a tough one. This is a very tough one.
Are we including songs on the soundtrack?
We
or
can.
just the score?
I was going with just the score myself. I didn't really listen to the sound. Well, you know what? We should probably include the soundtrack, shouldn't we?
Okay.
Yeah, we can. Okay, let's do soundtrack then.
Creed 3.
Creed 3. Okay.
Creed 3. The every song is an absolute smash on the soundtrack. I get there's the whole "Gotta Fly Now" and all that, but I haven't gone back to the Rocky 3 soundtrack other than "Gotta Fly Now," "Eye of the Tiger," the basics, right? I have listened to the Creed 3 soundtrack at least twice a day since I saw the movie. Like when I'm working out, I have it on. Like it's that damn, like everyone on the Dreamville roster, they had it on there. And I get the Eye of the Tiger is iconic, but do you know how many times I've heard that fucking song in my life?
Because it's iconic. It actually, not only is it iconic, people think of Rocky, they think of Eye of the Tiger. And it wasn't until the third film that it actually debuts.
Right.
So even though Rocky 1 and Rocky 2 are probably much better films, this is what it is. I'm going to jump in. I'm going to give it to Rocky 3, not just because of Eye of the Tiger, though, but a lot is because of Eye of the Tiger. By the way, yes, Thunder Lips brother. That's a good way to say it, Matt. Yeah. Frank Stallone is on the Rocky 3 soundtrack, and you can't go wrong with Frank Stallone. But Rocky, here's another thing about the Creed 3 soundtrack is going to the score version of things. Joseph Shirley does it, not Ludwig Göransson. Joseph Shirley is obviously part of Ludwig's team. He does a very good job overall. But I got to tell you, Ludwig did it better in Creed when he brought the Rocky score back. That was one of the best moments of Creed. We do have a little bit of the Rocky score at the very end of this fight.
I was going to say, did you notice like they use "Gonna Fly Now," but like a tiny little bit? I was like, and shout out to Jeff. I actually, I told Jeff because I got to see it early. I told Jeff they didn't use it because I didn't want to ruin the moment. I will say in that moment where that came in, I was like, yes, they used it. Yes.
I was very happy they did. But overall, Bill Conti is a phenomenal scorer. I can listen to those Rocky soundtracks, the scores, and it makes me just want to run through a wall every time. So I can't turn down Bill Conti anytime. Overall, I love Ludwig Göransson stuff in Creed. I like Joseph Shirley stuff in Creed 3. It's great stuff. But you give me Bill Conti kind of flying out. You give me Eye of the Tiger, one of the most iconic songs in the history of soundtracks.
Well, Survivor did Eye of the Tiger, right?
Yes, Survivor did Eye of the Tiger. Speaking of which, did you know that the original song was actually going to be Queen's Another One Bites the Dust? That was the original song that they were going to take. But Queen, there's something about the record company. Didn't they want to pay the record company for it? So they gave Eye of the Tiger and said, you know what? Hey, I can't knock it. Eye of the Tiger being quite iconic in of itself.
Eye of the Tiger, it's such a simple song. It's literally dun 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 dun. I think my pick is solely like just recency bias and like I've heard Eye of the Tiger so many fucking times.
Of course.
Like, do you know how much that song comes on in a gym for like all the new people to like get them hype? And I'm just like, oh fuck.
When I got Wii Band,
change music.
When I got Wii Rock Band, that was a song me and my family played all the time because that's one of the songs that were easy to start with. I loved it.
It is iconic, and yeah, I do get. I don't think there is a winner and a loser here. I just think I'm like I love the soundtrack for Creed 3. Like I've been listening to it a lot.
And I get it. I totally get it. Like I said, I'm not saying anything wrong with that at all. So yeah, I don't know. It's going to be. Yeah, it's an interesting battle. I do think that the Rocky soundtrack is going to live a little longer than Creed at this point. The reason why I'm giving it to Rocky.
Oh, for sure.
Just for that reason alone. But yeah, Creed 3 is great. It is great as well. I hope they continue. Joseph Shirley can score Creed 4 as far as I'm concerned because he did do a good job. So.
Did you know that Ludwig and Ryan Coogler were roommates at college?
I did not know that.
I had no idea until the other day. I was watching. I think it was on Dan Mill's review. I think he mentioned that those two were roommates in college. I was like, huh, that makes sense, and it also lends into like the whole Marvel and DC and Marvel and Star Wars thing of like being like, hey, I knew that guy.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Real quick, yes, Gucci's best friend forever, Frank Stallone. And now I need to edit out the final fight. Timon bites the dust as he takes down Kluba Lang. Yes, that'd be great. Kluba as a great, great action army general would say. All right, let's move on then to the final battle here. The final round. Ding ding. Better story. All right, this is where I don't think there's any contest to me. This is Creed 3 by far.
Fuck, you said that.
It's hard to say otherwise, honestly speaking. Like Rocky, again, it comes down to whether you prefer what you prefer and what the story is trying to tell. Rocky 3 is a cartoonish movie from front to back, and I do love it overall, but it doesn't have nearly the depth and the familial relationships and the storylines from the villain or antagonist, I should say, and has the family side with even that's. I will say, Creed and Tessa Thompson and their daughter, the whole family thing was a little underwhelming for me in terms of they introduce it, then it kind of sits there and there's not really resolving of it. Really kind of feels like it's. If they were going to introduce it, they should have gone a little bit further in. I'm not sure what you take out to give that more room, but it kind of did feel a little undercooked. That's a better word, undercooked for me. Maybe that's what they're going to go Rocky 4 or Creed 4. Maybe that's what we're going to do. But even so, it's still better than the general Rocky Adrian rehash for the most part, or Rocky 3. So at the end of the day, Creed 3 is an easy one for me.
Yeah, I would say there are parts of Rocky 3 that I like most, but the overall story of Creed 3 is just so much better. I mean, anytime I see Mickey, I think of, like, every gym has this, like, we used to have this guy, old Rob, who would like, he was this old timer who would like just walk around the gym, like telling you that if I'd have turned pro back in the day, this is what I would have done. And he very much was that Mickey guy. Like all he was good at was just yelling at you to get you hyped up.
Nice.
And like seeing Rocky, like, because we never like really see much of Rocky's family life other than Paulie and Adrian. We never see anything about like his parents or anything like that.
Yeah.
Mickey was the closest thing to a father that he had. So seeing Rocky deal with that emotion of losing a father figure and then it leading to him losing someone who was like a brother to him, I think Rocky 3 did a good job of laying the groundwork for Rocky 4.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, don't get me wrong, the Mickey aspect was good. In a cartoonish movie, it had some serious moments. Mickey's death was definitely one of them. And I'm not going to lie. Also, I don't want to discredit Rocky and Apollo's friendship that starts there, really, that rekindles there in a way. And that is a obviously very important to the groundwork of Creed, really, quite honestly. So it's not like it's empty. It's just not quite as intricate as what Creed 3 gives me.
Yeah, I think Rocky 3 was like the build up for Rocky 4. Yeah. Whether they had the to do in mind to do a fourth, I don't know. But I feel like it's the building blocks and the foundation for Rocky 4. Whereas Creed 3 goes into like so much depth of like growing up in the environment that those two grew up in, making something of yourself, defining your own legacy. I mean, Adonis has it on the gym wall of like define your own legacy. And there's the whole thing of not just the retired fighter coming back. Like we can all like, that's a tried and true tale that will be forever till the end of time. But then there was like him bringing Drago's son in for his training camp. And like little things like that. But I was like, man, they're really like, they're tying everything together and like enveloping on it more. Like Adonis is promoting a fight for Drago's son. And it just shows the level of growth of that character from the first Creed film where he's taking smoker fights in Mexico to now he's on top of the world and he's a promoter and he's like, just seemed to have like forgiven everything. And he's just like, look, I'm good. Let me just walk away. But then he gets pulled back in.
Right.
And Jonathan Majors' story is one that, you know, we see all the time, but we still, that, you know, that antagonist who we sympathize with, and we get why they do the things that they do. They're just doing it better the wrong way. Probably would do it the same way myself, but it's just, yeah, there's a lot more depth, and I would say a lot more heart in the I think I don't know who wrote the story. I think, well, maybe it was Coogler, but like there seemed to have been like a great deal of thought going into the overall arc of Adonis Creed. I do agree with you. I think there could have been a bit more of the stuff with his daughter. I feel like maybe just the scene back at the school where like the girl goes to punch, like the girl's going to punch her, and she's just like, nah, my dad taught me better than that. I'm not going to do anything. I'm just going to, all right, cool. You can rip up my picture. I'm just going to go paint another one.
Absolutely. Something to that effect. I like that. See the community could see the girl get in trouble for bullying instead. Like it should have happened.
And the one thing I did think was missing, and we talked about this pre-show, just the little thing of Adonis getting out of the ring and being like, I'm going to go call my uncle real quick.
Yeah.
Because, you know, even if Rocky wasn't like there, you know, he would have been watching.
Yeah,
you know, he would have had it on the TV, and he would have been watching. Hell, maybe he would have even been in the front, like in the front row, and like maybe we just don't see him, and he's just gonna, like, maybe Adonis was just like, hey, let me go check on my uncle real quick, and then he just disappears, and you have a scene with Damien,
right?
And yeah, they're just that
it is a
tiny little thing.
It's a Rocky-sized hole. It's still hard to go. So, but it is what it is, and I understand sometimes behind-the-scenes stuff can mess with you. They probably felt a little weird. We did have the one mention of Rocky at one point. Very, very quick mention of Rocky as an underdog fight in the beginning, but otherwise, nothing at all. And sometimes behind-the-scenes stuff can unfortunately overtake the on-screen stuff, which is a disappointment and which is sad. But it is what it is. You can't do anything about it. So we got to accept it and move forward.
There was one part of the movie as well that I really, really loved, and it's something that I messaged Jeff like after I saw it. I was like, this movie woke something up in me, and it was when he's looking in the mirror and Duke says to him, you see that man there, do you recognize him? I felt that was like someone reached into my heart and just tore it out, and I was just like, damn.
Good stuff. Well, alrighty, that will do it then. We have a clear-cut winner. I don't think there's any real surprise for myself and for you and for most people who know us. Unfortunately, for Rocky 3 fans, it is not Rocky 3 it is winner. Creed 3 wins this one 7-3. It's a respectable fight. Respectively, Rocky 3 does put up a good battle, even better than I thought it would, to be honest with you. But at the end of the day, I think Creed 3 is just a better film. I almost felt like going into this like last night I was thinking about it. It might have been more interesting of a battle to do the first 3 Rocky movies versus the first 3 Creed movies. Like,
how about this then? If this truly is the last Creed that we're gonna get, let's do it.
Okay, that happens then, yeah. I mean, I don't think it is. They're already talking about Creed 4, so I don't think it's going to happen. But
well, they're fine. We just add Rocky 4 to the mix.
There you go. I don't know, a little dangerous for Creed at that point.
I mean, the original cut. We're not.
Yes, yeah, we're not going to deal with the that one.
Love Sly, but bro, you fucked up a classic on that one.
Absolutely. Alrighty then. How do you cut the robot? You are making an 80s movie. You made an 80s movie. You got to stick to it. You can't make it a new age movie anymore.
Go do a remaster of Over the Top. Leave Rocky 4 alone.
I'll even take a little different little updated version of Cobra if you want. But
oh my god, yes.
Alrighty. Matty, where can the folks find you?
You can find me on Twitter at Matty Gunner, Instagram Matty_Gunner. You can find my band Mourner, MOURNER, on all DSPs. Tune in to our podcast tomorrow, Holy Snokes. I'm going to be announcing the single name and the release date for it, because the title, I will just admit it's something I stole from Star Wars. So tune in tomorrow on Holy Snokes, where I'll be announcing that. And you can find me here every other Tuesday for Class Action, Wednesdays for Holy Snokes, and every Friday and Monday on the Wild Jones Podcast Network if you want to hear me talk about more actual fighting. So there's that too.
And of course, stay tuned. You're going to make the Creed versus Drago breakdown that you saw today.
Yeah.
Entry here. We like that. You find me at _Denuzio on Twitter. You can find me at patreon.com/PLD Projects alongside Matty Kearns, Brendan Buckingham, Jeff Alterman, John the Street, a bunch of others. Really appreciate you guys helping to keep the lights on. You can find me here every other week on Class Action. The other week, you can find me with PJ Campbell and 2 Mediocre White Dudes on Film. Next up for us, we are doing a Lethal Weapon. Actually, I take that back. We're going to have a 2 for next week. I talked about PJ about this. I think it's 99% confirmed. So I guess things could change, but if it doesn't change, we're going to see a live 2 Mediocre White Dudes on Film on Sunday night, covering Scream 6.
Shit.
And then later on in the week, we will continue and conclude the Lethal Weapon saga, Lethal Weapon 4. So a 2-fer from me and PJ next week, potentially.
2 of you live.
You never know what's going to go down. You never know. You never know what's going down there. And of course, Holy Snokes, just like Matty said earlier, Holy Snokes every week. We got 2 episodes this week. We'll talk about the Celebration news, Mandalorian, Bad Batch. It's all coming at us. And we got 2 other podcasts that are going to be coming out soon as well on PLD projects. Irregularly scheduled projects is what I call them because they're not going to be weekly. They're going to be as I get to them. We have the Haristance, which should be coming out late spring, early summer. It's a little more of a video essay from me. And of course, Review, which is the podcast I am bringing forth about the old sci-fi classic V. It's one of my favorite franchises in the world. It started off with a bang with a great interview. That's going to come up soon. And then myself and new PLD project co-host Lego will be helping me out with that.
Lego's joining the team.
Lego is joining the team.
Hell yeah.
On Review. So that should be a lot of fun. Otherwise, I think that's it, guys. I think that's it. Until next time, of course, stay classy, everybody.
Before we go, we didn't do the thing. If this is your first time here, just like, subscribe, ring that notification bell. Ding, ding.
Ding, ding. Like
and
that.
With that being said, justice
has been served. Jarvie loves you for that. Jarvie loves you.